again for another evening with Date Affirm the Real. I am Kia McLean.
I'm Marcus.
All right, so you all know what the discussion is tonight, and we're going to be talking about
having clarity in your relationship. How important is clarity in your relationship? You can say it better than I can. You know, I'm better with short titles like the and end.
Okay.
Yep.
So I will talk about some things as it relates to clarity and its importance to me. I think we should probably start with the definition, though. What do you think?
Okay. So clarity is a relationship in a situation where both partners try to make meaning of what is happening in a union.
So clarity in a relationship is important to me. I am definitely considered a over-communicator. And I probably communicate more than some people would like, but it is advantageous in the end. So I discuss in the early stages, to ensure that clarity exists and that, we are checking in regularly to make sure that, those check-ins are there. And so some of the things that I kind of jotted down, some things that I say to ensure that clarity's there. Hey, Summer, you finally made it in. Hey, Cassandra. Hey, Keldrick.
It take the wintertime
I
for
see
summer.
y'all are in.
It take the wintertime for summer to make it in.
Summer is just so busy. She can't never make our lives, babe. She out here living the life.
What a wise man once said. Shit.
Okay, so let's talk about clarity. And I want to specifically share with you all some things that I do to ensure that clarity is in the room. Okay, so some of the things I might say to ensure that there's clarity in the room is I might say, so my understanding is, and then I'll repeat what my understanding is to ensure we're on the same page. I might also say, is what I'm hearing you say, okay, that gives you some clarity when you ask those types of questions. If you ask questions like, what you saying? That was loud, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was rough, wasn't it?
In my ear.
In your ear, right? Mm. You rolling your eyes and everything at me. So if I ask a question like that, that's probably the type of response I'm going to get. So I try to ask these types of questions for clarity. I try. Okay? That feels this way to me. That way I'm letting you know how you made me feel. I'm being open and honest about what my feelings are. You might also hear me say, I am unsure we will find a common ground, so we can just disagree. Okay? I might also say that. And for me, that's clarity, because sometimes we're oftentimes just trying to be right. We're just trying to make our point and be right, and that's it. But for me, clarity doesn't exist in the land of right. Clarity exists in the land of understanding. Even if we have polar opposite thoughts or feelings about it, it exists in understanding for me. I might also say, I don't appreciate you saying that. I might also say that is not true. I might also say, I believe you, and I am clearly not making sense. Let me reword what I'm saying to say for clarity. And lastly, what do you think or feel about what I just said? All of those are clarity questions. Okay? And I know that having clarity creates a safe space in a relationship. What say you, sugar?
Like it's like a school play. What say you? Romeo. So, let's get down to it. Clarity for me and the way I approach it is going to be way different. And
that's okay. We different.
No, it's fine. Because what I'm about to say is the shit I didn't work. The way I say clarity was never an object to me, and it led to the wrong path. So I appreciate you when you come with these ways of looking for clarity, because what I thought was clear is only clear as mud. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When you say those things like that, it took a while for me to realize that you was really looking for clarity, because to me at the beginning it's like, what kind of Dr. Freud shit is she on? Because it sounds psychological.
What sounds psychological?
The way you phrase it, you know. And for those who was at our DAR summit, and how we talked, when our DAR therapist was talking about how you talked and addressed, it sounds similar to that. But when you sit back and think about it, it's like it leaves less rooms for error, and that's what clarity is a lack of error in a way. It's got to be able to sum it up, and so we can both see a vision. Not like artwork where how do you interpret it? No, we need to see plain, clear, and living color that we're on the same path and our values match. So that's what I'm saying. If at first it wasn't like that, they was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you how I feel, but as you started communicating it, okay, I'm getting it now. I'm digging it, and that's what it is. It's just a process. Yeah. And
because we had two different communication styles, right?
Two totally different.
Yeah. Hey, Jay. So I think that, I'm glad that you said that, because I think initially we didn't have a lot of problems with it because you weren't very vocal about it at first. Because I'm always asking questions, I'm always talking, and again, I realize that I'm an over communicator. And so when I'm asking you questions like, so what do you think or feel about what I just said? When I would ask you questions like, so my understanding is...
Bless you.
Thank you. So when I would ask you those questions, you'd be looking at me like, why she acting like she a therapist?
Right, because you got... And you know this about me, I'm a natural introvert in a lot of situations. So for you ask me how I feel about something, I don't know how I feel. I feel like I'm all right. That's how it is. Okay. How was your day? Okay. But it leaves the waters murky. Yeah. But so this is kind of what I was actually brought out. This came to a point I wanted to make. When we addressing clarity in the dating process, we address it at the beginning. What are your long term? Well, that's like an interview, but how do you see yourself? Interview again. What's going on? What is your life consistent of? How you see yourself? How you see us? Where you progressing to, right? But you have to go back to that, and because we all know that representative at the beginning of that interview process ain't the same person you hire, and that's what I'm. So I'd say one thing, or a person can say one thing, but you don't know they truly mean it until later on as you get to know them, as the guards get down, because you can say, "Oh yeah, I want kids," and you come back 6 months later, I don't want no kids. You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
We ain't had that issue.
These are just examples.
We both agreed on that.
We just examples. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we ain't shooting no club up in this week. All right, so and this goes back to another thing you said to me, about having these clarity conversations often and checking in with each other. So when you check in and we want to make sure we're still in line. Yeah. Because you go back to something you said in a previous live is we have to evolve together. And have that same clarity and what's important to each other, has to make sure we still evolve in a way. Because if I'm evolving one way and you evolve another way, what's important is not going to be necessarily be the same. And that's going to cause a further divide. Right.
And that's why constant conversations and dialogue is important. So even though I'm considered an over-communicator, it's
good because most of the time, I ain't gonna say it all the time because sometimes, it is what it is.
Sometimes I get on your nerves.
I ain't gonna say that. Not on public. All right, so, because your over-communication is a form of compensation for when I do have a lack of communication or overly introverted personality sometimes. So we have to, make up for each other's, shortfalls in certain ways. Like it's just in any good relationship, you're not strong in everything. And when you're not strong in it, if I'm strong in that area, it's my job to keep you and lift you up, make sure you don't fall or you raise up or let me take that part over because there's areas I'm weak in. Yeah. And that you excel in. Yep. That's just that's how our friendship goes.
Absolutely, babe. I think another thing that clarity does is it avoids the muddy waters, right? So if there's confusion about anything, I think it's important to circle back and have that conversation and say, hey, is this what you're meaning? Or is this what is important to you? Or is this how you feel about that? A lot of times people will assume things, right? Mm-hmm. And so clarity clears up the muddy waters of assumptions, of hurt feelings, of resentment, of, you creating a story in your head that really doesn't exist. Clarity is so important. I try to have clarity across the board, though. I try to have clarity with all of my relationships. And at the very beginning of this live, if you guys missed the very beginning, I gave some examples of some things that I say to people to try to garner the clarity in that conversation, to try to see where I'm lacking in the understanding of what you're saying. And it might be something like, so I understand that you're saying this. Or I might say, that hurt me. Can you elaborate? That I don't like the way you said that. That was offensive, right? So it's about gaining clarity in the conversation so that you don't just assume something. Because I'm a word person, right? So if you say something, sometimes I'm going to take it literal. Like, that's what you said, so that's what you mean. Unless I get clarity. And so I'm very big on having an understanding so that there are no muddy waters, so that I'm not assuming anything. Because just because you said this doesn't mean that. Also, how someone says something, right? Because I can say, like I just said earlier, I could say, so what you're trying to say is, and it comes across, you're immediately on the defense, and there's no opportunity for you to really gain insight on what I'm trying to say to you. But if I say, oh, so what I'm hearing you say is such and such, such and such, and then you might say, that's not what I'm saying at all. Now, there's no disagreement. There's no argument. We're not upset with each other because I just simply asked a question for clarity. And it didn't escalate because I didn't yell and scream when I said it. So that's really some of the important things about clarity.
So the clarity thing is, and the clarity of the importance is, it really breaks down to the fundamentals of communication. It seems like that's always the biggest and most common word when we deal with these lives or anything that deals with our general life, like these relationships or our relationship goals or trying to get into a relationship with a potential partner, is always communication. So even these things you say for clarity goes into all of that, because we are actually looking for clarity at the very beginning, the middle, and at the end. So the clarity of what's important never gets out of date.
Yeah.
We just making sure it stays on the same path.
Yep.
You know, now, like for example, we had this conversation several times about what's important to us. You know, what's important to say. Like, I know what's important to you. Like some of the biggest things that's important to you is family and future. And when I mean future, means our streams of income and different things, our financial stability for our old age. You know, and the clarity came in because I love different from how she loves family. She is more the traditional, open-hearted hug, and I'm the opposite. I love my family just as much as she loves her family, and vice versa. But the clarity was because how I do it, she may not have been used to that, and she wasn't. And it made until somebody else, it didn't look like I had any kind of feelings for my family, which is very far from the truth, because I love my folks, but I just love them different. And the clarity came from is asking questions or expressing each other. Yeah, this isn't how I do it. This is just how I feel comfortable doing it. And now I explain to them, they know I love them. And when she finally met him, that's funny. When she finally met him, she got to experience that they know how I am and know how I feel. So, and it was like, okay, that's just reinforcement.
And that was clarity for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was important for me. And I don't even think he realized why that was important to me, even as he watched me with my family. I don't think I had to get clarity from his family. You remember me asking your family questions?
Yeah, there's a couple of N-words flying around, but we ain't gonna go there.
I asked questions. Listen, I'm 100 across the board with everybody. I didn't know these people, had never met them, and I went there and I asked them questions too. Why didn't you do this? And why, I'm gonna ask those questions.
Over tequila. And vodka.
But I asked the questions.
And Crown.
I didn't have any Crown.
I did.
But anyway, it's important to ask questions for clarity, right? I wasn't rude or nasty or anything like that. And I think there's a way to do that without it coming across as rude or disrespectful to people. But I'm a person that just needs to understand things. And so his family answered the questions, and I gained some clarity, and that made me understand him more. And so that was helpful for me, because he had the opportunity to see me with my family, to see me with my close friends back in St. Louis that have been in my life for a long time. He got to see the dynamics of that. So he was clear about me. I wasn't clear about how he was moving with his family or with friends. And so once I gained that insight, I was good. I was clear on it.
But you know something? Something just came to me. People have different levels of clarity. Your need, or I want to say it's your need. Your need for clarity is a little different from mine. You know, it's like these glasses. I can still see through them. And if I put my finger on it, I can still see. It may be, but you might be like, okay, I need to clean these up. This smudge is bothering me. I need to be, this guy, my vision needs to be a little bit better than this. But with this smudge, I'm still not going to hit no walls. I'm not going to crash no cars. But my need for a depth of clarity may be a little different from yours. Yours is deeper.
Yeah.
You know, but we got to accept that. That's because we're still different. This is just my opinion, but we're still two different people. You know, I'm good with this, I'm good with that, and if you require this, require that, that's fine. Because guess what? As your partner, your mate, your truer half, I'm going to satisfy that desire for clarity. You want to go through this, and you explain to me why this, and that, because you're the over communicator, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, no problem. You know, another example we have. Remember how we talked about the house, right? Mm-hmm. I had a desire for another house. You don't have no desire for the house. Mm-hmm. And what we did, we had to come to terms and compromise. Because this is a good fact. Because what's important to somebody, do you compromise on it, or do you not compromise on it? What's your negotiables and non-negotiables? Mm-hmm. Because everything can't be important to everybody. And unfortunately, I'm not the king of Zamunda where I can have everything I want, where I want it, how I want it, and when I want it. So I have to evaluate: is this negotiable or not, or non-negotiable? Mm-hmm. And that's something we came to terms with. Yep. But the way we came to terms with is through the questions you ask. If we do it this way, we can achieve this, and that. And this allows us to achieve these goals at this time or in this manner. And we probably can even revisit this later on and with a better state of mind, a better situation, and a better way for everybody. Mm-hmm. But because of the way you express it, it was able to say, aha. And because of that, a non-negotiable became a negotiable. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily giving up on something. It's just a way to put it, well, maybe we got to maneuver the time frames. Mm-hmm. You know, because doing it this way, instead of putting us here, it's going to put us here. You know, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Okay. And that's I think for me, that helps me. Me being an over communicator and being able to express things that way, mm-hmm. It really does help me. Because if I come to you and I present something to you, I'm presenting all of the facts, right? Okay. So when we had the discussion about, you know, I've always known you wanted a home, a house. You wanted to purchase a house. And
it's a heart for love.
Okay,
man. My bad. I'm about to sing. I ain't gonna give you no concert right now. Go ahead.
So, I've always known this. And initially, I was willing to compromise about that. Right?
Right.
And what happens as time goes on?
It changes.
It changes, right? And so I'm out here researching all of these different things, and I come across something else I want to do. But I knew that I had to come to you and present all the facts. I had to tell you, this is what could happen if we do this. This is how we could do this and do that and save and invest. And then I could get a possible different response from you. Hey, bro. So I think that, like, that's the important thing about having those conversations and getting the clarity. Because if I just came to you and I said, I don't want a house, and that's it. I didn't say anything else. I didn't give you the reason, which would provide the clarity. Mm-hmm. The clarity, right? If I didn't give you that clarity, you would be like, wait a minute, hold on. How you just gonna say what we not gonna do? Or you don't want this. So I knew I had to come to you with the full scope of what that would look like for us in order for you to even consider compromising with me about that.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things is we can't be closed-minded. We have to be willing to listen. You know, I know we got these non-negotiable and dead set on it. Just because you listening don't mean you have to change your mind. You have to be open to listen because not one person knows everything, and you have your heart set on this or this and that. But there's different factors in life. You know, mm-hmm. Things change. You know, we wasn't supposed to have ice in Texas. Things change. You know, so that came with clarity because I was open-minded. I ain't trying to be bragging myself, but I had to be open-minded.
No, but you were.
Had to be open-minded. Had to listen. You know.
Because I thought you was going to knock me off the horse when I started talking about it.
Oh,
but you listened. I know you didn't want to.
The first sentence you was about to get off the horse about the first sentence, but I had to stop, regroup, and I'm gonna listen because that's what we do. Because you always listen to me, even though sometimes you don't want to. In your face, tell it.
But I listen.
Be like, you had oh shit. Yeah, I know that face. But that's what it is. But to get that clarity of what's important, both parties have to be open-minded and be able to listen and determine if we are on the same path or what's important. And to piggyback or touch back on what we said earlier, we have to do this on a regular. You know, we have to have these conversations. And as much as I hate those hard conversations, that's part of the hard conversations. And maybe you have to address it in a different way. Sometimes, hey, not all clarity of what's important is hard conversations.
Yeah.
You know, one of the ways for me, because I'm a fantasizer and a dreamer, I have to put it in a la la land form. Okay, she didn't want this, and I want this, but we can do it this way. It was like la la la. But then again, when she make these millions and I got these billions, I can get what I want. You know what I'm saying? And we both will still be happy. Mm-hmm. Because in my heart, I know our financial status is on a rocket ship path. Once you light that fuse, we gone. And that's what I have to do. Is have to put it in a not so harsh way, make it not a harsh reality, but a true reality, but just a little softer landing. And that's what your questions do a lot of times, make it a little softer landing. You don't have to always hit hard. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I think the compromise sometimes even is the conversation, right? Because sometimes I can look on your face and you're like, oh, we're going to have a conversation. And I'm like, but it's a beneficial conversation. I think once we have this conversation, you'll see the benefit of us getting the clarity now, right? So look, I'm big on this, y'all. You know, I'm bigger on this than I've ever been. And I've said this before. I've been married twice. Okay? I don't want to get a third divorce. So it's extremely important to me, extremely important, that we work through all of the things that could potentially pop up for us later and cause harm in our relationship. So I am very diligent about constantly communicating, checking in, creating a safe space for my man to come and talk to me. He creates a safe space for me to talk to him so that we always have clarity there, so that we always have a space where we can openly communicate with each other and tell each other stuff. And that creates healthy communication. That creates a healthy love. So that as we continue down this path to get to wherever we get into, that we have the tools already in place. So we're doing the work. We're doing all the heavy lifting now to ensure that later on we don't address these things when we're married. Of course, things are going to still come up when we're married, or if we decide to be lifetime partners and shack up forever, whatever we decide to do, right? That we have at least the tools in place. Because I don't want to repeat. See, one thing for sure, after doing that twice, I refuse to make the same damn mistake. I just refuse. And so I know where some of the things went wrong before in relationships, and I'm trying to avoid that because before I was a shut down person. So he gets a part of me that nobody else has ever got to experience. I am an over communicator now. I express everything that I'm feeling, everything that's going on. So there's no room for error. So there's no room for misunderstanding, because by us having the clarity and him not being confused, I'm like, he'll even say to me, hey, I didn't know this. And I'm like, oh, my bad. Let's put this in place so now you know. So.
Well, one thing that it's nothing that came to me. When you have these moments where you need to sit down and talk and to get this clarity of what's things important, as advice to all people, if you choose to do it, do not do it during live events. Do it while you're watching Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, anything you can pause. Do not do it while watching live events on TV. So that means football, basketball, hell, even baseball.
I didn't do that to you.
I'm just saying in general, this is word of wisdom for everybody in the world. Because when I see that, because my mind is when I see that, oh shit, here it comes. I had to hit the pause button because I know something coming. And I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss what you say, and I don't want to miss on that TV. So I'm compromising.
I don't do that doing live TV, babe.
I don't have live TV, so I'm just saying in general.
Like, what are you talking? Like Janelle talking about what the hell? Yes, what in the hell is you talking about?
Because she be the one that talk to you when you're on live TV. She'll stop. She'll be playing that game and try the most inopportune time. She'll pause on her game to worry the shit out you. I could tell. I could look at her.
She said I would. No, like I feel like I know the good moments to do that, like to segue into those conversations. Sometimes something could be bothering me and I won't say anything in that moment because I just feel like this isn't the moment for that conversation.
Yeah, you do, but at the same time, I can look.
Rick said, "Do." We believe you, brother.
I know it. You do, but at the same time, with the energy you put off sometimes, it kind of like, I can feel that you want to say something or you want to talk. Mm-hmm. But since I don't got live TV, I can hit pause.
Oh, now you feel energy.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Cat's out the bag, bruh.
I wouldn't say energy.
No, you just said energy. Y'all heard him say energy, right?
It's more like
he tells me constantly, I don't feel no energy like you be talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Feeling energy. I don't know what you're talking about. And all of a sudden,
I just smell.
You know what energy feel like.
I smell funky ass attitude.
Here we go, brother. Brother Maine from the 5th floor.
Ain't the hour up already? It's time the live to end.
Ain't it ironic how somebody all of a sudden feel energy, y'all? I done been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and led astray.
God damn, representative left at the wrong time.
See, what you was trying to say is,
damn it.
Bruh, you just told me the energy you done told on yourself. There's going to be a conversation after this live for clarity, just so y'all know. So that's how I roll.
Yeah, I just misspeak.
That's how I roll.
I guess I be rubbing some parts of your body tonight. Goddamn. Mm-hmm. What's next on the list?
Go ahead, babe. Go on the next list.
Yeah.
What's next on the list?
I don't know. These words getting blurry. Shit. The clarity.
I love it when he tell on himself.
The clarity is gone.
Keldrick said, "You got caught."
Man,
you did get caught.
Damn, Keldrick, have the bro code.
Rick said, "Please."
Help.
Not when you did it to yourself.
Well, so anyway, back to the subject at hand.
You just got busted, and everybody got to see it. I got witnesses. Thank y'all for being witnesses. I'm gonna rewind and play it on this part all night, so I can get everything I want, y'all.
It will be deleted in the next 30 minutes. Don't worry about that.
Okay, go ahead, babe.
Hell, I don't know where I'm supposed to be at. But anyway, clarity was important. One, because, like I said, with my introverted ways, it is kind of hard for me to see clarity. Because a lot of times, an introvert, well, me as introverted, I make assumptions, and that assumptions can get carried away, or I can assume wrong. Which, if you assume, most of the time you're going to be wrong. And I have to take some of the things out of her book of how to address things. You know, I pick a few things up here and there, but I don't do it to the level she does. And this is why she's the over communicator, to compensate for my under communication skills sometimes. So it's really important to find out what's important. We have more things that's important to us. Like everybody, there's probably 5 or 6 things that you can go off the top of your head what's important. And even when you're dating or finding a potential person to date, we have to break those in. What's important? And make sure they align to each other. Now, on the other end, when somebody comes to you that you're dating or want to date with, we have to be honest with the other person. You know, guys, you know, we're probably the worst at it because we'll lie about something to get what we need or get into the door, and we'll worry about the rest later. Then when in the months down the line, and when it's really when things are getting serious and everything is important, guess what? And what's important to you is not important to them. Guess what? We go our separate ways, or you go your separate ways. Guess what? You just wasted time. How much time do you wasted? Like I said before, time has no refund. You can't get a refund on it. You can't get it back. And the bad part of that is, to me, if I spent this much time focusing on you and we wasn't clear about what's important and we go our separate ways, who I could have possibly missed who had the same intentions as me? Because either one of us or both of us wasn't honest to each other or ourselves. And that's the part where we all have to work on. A lot of us have to work on. And through mistakes, I know that, hey, guess what? I can't do that anymore. So when she comes to me, or the few times I've come to her about things, I have to be forward about what's important. Now, when somebody comes to you and tell you about what's important, one thing you gotta learn not to do is not getting your feelings. Because when you get in your feelings, like I say, your defenses come up, or you shut down, and you don't want to hear any rationale, or you don't try to seek the clarity of why we're coming to this. And that's the hard part. Because they always say women are sensitive. Nah, men are sensitive too. I know several men that are a little too sensitive, you know, so men, all species got feelings. And how to address it, how to check it to get to a better place and don't be so sensitive is really what's gonna help us get that clarity of what's important. If I was in my feelings when you first came to me about something, that conversation would have been a whole lot different. But if you hadn't come to me in the proper manner, the conversation would have been different. You know, so it's a two-sided thing. How you address it and how not to be in your feelings.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good.
Any comments we need to address?
Janelle said balance, which is true. I think balance comes through those conversations. Through, Marcus's thing that he says a lot is, it's just hard to have those hard conversations. And my thing is, I want to have the hard conversations. Let's push through the hard conversations. Because if we don't push through the hard conversations, we can't get to where we want to get to. And that's just it. Like I said, the reality of it is I've learned my lesson, and I want us to have a healthy, loving, positive relationship. And the only way that I see that can happen is if we are constantly communicating and being honest about what we're feeling or what's going on and what's happening, so that there is no room for error. There is no room for I thought this or it felt like this. No, I'm telling you, you'll never have to assume with me. And I say this to anybody. You don't have to assume anything with me as your friend. You don't have to assume anything with me as your mate. If I ain't your friend no more, you will know it. We'll never talk again. If we're not in a relationship anymore, like, there will be things I will tell you leading up. This is an issue. This is a problem. And I'm looking for change behavior. If you're doing the same thing, you have to know why I'm not there anymore. If you're my friend and I said, I don't like when you do this, or I don't like when you do that, or I give you the sense that I didn't like something and you keep doing it, there's no need. I'm a very forward person, and it's helpful for me because nobody has to guess anything with me. You don't ever have to guess. I'm going to tell you, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. Whatever it may be, I'm going to be straightforward because it's the healthiest thing for me to do. Now, how other people receive it, I'm not responsible for, but I have to do that because if I'm going to have healthy relationships with people, if I'm going to be able to connect with people, if I'm going to be able to have positive relationships, I have to communicate. I have to tell you, this is what I feel. This is why I feel this way. This is why this is important to me. When I come to you and I say, hey, babe, I want to tell you something that is bothering me. Or I say, hey, I want to tell you something that's important to me. I always see the look on your face because you immediately go to something is wrong.
Mm-hmm. I do.
But it's not always something wrong. And I honestly would thought by now he's used to me, but he's still not used to the fact that I do that about everything. I don't care if the conversation is about, I want to go get fried chicken. He thinks something is wrong about every conversation that I take to him. Now I think he's getting more so to the point where he understands this lady just like to talk. She just like to tell me everything that might be traveling through her brain. But I do that for clarity. I do that for understanding. Again, which leaves very little room for you to assume or for you to think this and that's not really what it is, or for you to feel like I'm attacking you and that's not what I'm doing. So it's good to have those conversations, and for me, being an over communicator, I think has actually helped our relationship.
Well, it actually saved it several times. I'm just being honest. Your over communication actually saved us, because if I tend to not speak, you're going to speak. Mm-hmm. And if you shut down and I'm not speaking, where do we go? You know, and that actually saves us, because two quiet people can't be heard. Mm-hmm. Unless you're doing sign language, it ain't gonna happen. So, yeah. So to your credit, that actually kept us going forward and keep from going backwards more than once, I say, because I think every relationship goes backwards a little bit as they go forward. Now, you know, it's just the truth, and I'm not going to sit here and shit roses and say everything we do is right, or everything we do is perfect, or everything we do is positive, or everything we do is all ooh ooh ooh. No, we have our slobber knockers too, you know, and a lot of this because you are using those communication skills and how to address and being vocal, because you don't let too much shit slide for more than a couple hours.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I deal with things in real time, unless I can't. Right? So if we're out to dinner with friends or we're at somebody's house, I'm not going to say anything in that moment. But you better believe the moment we get in that car, I'm saying something. I am a real-time person. So it's going to get addressed in real time. But it's good because it doesn't get carried over. We have the discussion, we hash it out, and it's over. That's one thing I can say that's positive about it. We don't have to bring it back up the next day. Right? Mm-hmm. It's over. Once we talked about it the night before, it's done. There's nothing else to discuss. But if I held on to that for days, for weeks, for months, and then I try to weaponize that thing 3 months later, that's where you go into the muddy waters. Right?
Yeah.
You go into the muddy waters where you're not communicating in real time. So I get mad at you. I don't say anything, right? And my excuse is, I'm just trying to save I'm trying to save face. I don't want us to argue. I don't want to make a big deal out of it, right? It could be something that's considered minute to some people. I address everything. I don't want y'all to get it wrong. I do address everything. No matter how minute it is. Do you know why I do that, though?
Why do you do that?
Because it doesn't leave room for error, for me to assume, for me to think, for me to... My mind will go 1,000 different places. I ain't gonna be playing with my mind. I'm just gonna address it. Did you mean such and such when you did that? Nope, then we done with it.
Yeah, because...
But I need clarity.
Yeah, because as you learn, my mind don't operate normal. It really don't operate normal. I don't see certain things. I don't get this in a certain way. Or when I do this, it really doesn't mean nothing. There's nothing to me because... Or if I'm staring, most of the time I'm daydreaming. I daydream a lot.
Oh, so here's the other funny part, y'all. I'm going to share this with y'all. Don't be looking like that. We got some more coffee?
Okay.
So, this is kind of funny, y'all. I have to share this with you.
See, this is the kind of face I get when you like, let's have a conversation.
It's not bad, babe. It's not bad. Okay. So, you remember earlier when somebody got in trouble?
That ain't nothing new.
So, one of the things is I feel a lot of stuff, right? And he was talking about energy. So I feel a lot of stuff. And he'll be like, you feel that? I'm like, I feel it. I'm telling you, I feel it. It's accurate. And he'll be like, nah, I don't think that's what it is, babe. I just think you... And then what happens?
What happens? Your story.
No, tell me what happens.
I'll tell you how I feel. And I'm like, you talking now...
About in general, not just you.
Oh, so because...
But in general, not just you.
Well, now, in general, everybody else, that should be a little too damn true, a little too accurate. Now, about me, I think I got energy immunity.
No, you don't.
I do get energy immunity. Because we'll get another stuff. There's a whole nother subject. But yeah, I can't... That shit you do, that little woo, it's so Raven shit you do, where you just think like, I knew that was going to happen. You told me it's going to happen. It happens. I'm like, damn. I can't even watch a TV show now without this heifer. I'm going to say the heifer this time. This heifer telling how the TV show is going to happen. And I'm like, oh, you were wrong. And 3 scenes later, it happens.
See what happens because I have so much clarity, babe?
Yeah. That's all Raven shit you got going on.
It's all the clarity that my body just holds. Clarity. Yeah. Clarity. Okay.
That's all them damn candles you burning around here. You be saging all the good shit out of here. Or the murky, or the muddy shit out of here. You be saging the muddy shit out of here. A little mud is good sometimes. It's a little mystery.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm reaching. Well,
so what y'all think about clarity? What y'all think about the importance of clarity in a relationship? We've done a lot of joking. tonight.
We got to.
But, I mean, what do you think about the importance of clarity in a relationship? Do you think that you have some work to do on clarity? Do you think that you are good about clarity in your relationship? What's your thoughts? I know that I was never this good at clarity before, and I struggled with it. I was actually the person that would shut down in relationships. I wouldn't say anything. And when we first started this podcast, one of the things that I talked about was something that would happen in previous relationships. And I noticed it. I noticed what would happen, but I wasn't clear then of what it was even myself. And it's what I call the brick building. You all have heard me say this before if you've tuned in to one of those episodes. And brick building is a very, very, very dangerous thing that happens in relationships. And because what happens with brick building is you keep laying bricks because you're not communicating effectively. And you keep building bricks and you keep, it's not building bricks, it's laying bricks, right? And so eventually you lay so many bricks that the bricks have went above your head. And so you can't see the person on the other side and they can't see you. And so now all you have is a relationship that exists between this brick wall. So you really don't have a relationship. There's no clarity. There's no understanding. And so, we have to do that work to essentially really understand what may have caused some issues or what may be causing issues. And Keldrick says, I am under construction on clarity. Thank you for your honest answer on that. Janelle says, I can't be no clearer. I appreciate the answers. I appreciate the honesty and the transparency, because clarity I got, hands down, 100%. But it's some other stuff that I still need to work on. And so when you can be honest about, hey, this is something I need to work on. This is something that I might have to continue to do the work on or explore more. That's big ups to you, bro, for being honest with that. Honestly, because...
Yeah, because under construction, there's a lot of us under construction. Mm-hmm. And the older we get, don't make you automatically happens. It takes real effort. And it takes real effort for somebody who is with you. If in case you're with somebody, they got to help you with it. Because guess what? The way when you try to seek clarity, like if I was trying to seek clarity from you, mm-hmm. and if you respond to a negative way, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So the under construction, it's not a one-man construction crew. Mm-hmm. And if you come to me and I give you a negative way, you're not going to do it. So it's a two-way street. So you said you can't get no clearer. Well, if you can't get no clearer, but you can't get any better listening, maybe not. But it's how we do it.
Yeah.
So I get it. The under construction, I'm under construction too. Matter of fact, give me a hard hat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
That was good.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any more feedback about that? I think that having the conversation is the start, right? It's the start. And you might want to sit down and write down, 2 or 3 things and say, hey, I want to get more clear about this in my relationship. I want to get more clear and have a better understanding and better communication style with my person by doing A, B, C. And we're going to spend X amount of time each week on exploring the amount of time that we're spending on communication and being clear about things, right? The last thing that I want to talk about as it relates to clarity is being clear with your partner about decisions that you're making. and not just doing stuff and then later on saying, oh, I didn't tell you that. I made a $5,000 purchase. Be clear with your partner about how you're communicating things that are happening that affect both of you all. You know, be clear about that. Don't feel like, well, I make X amount of dollars, so I ain't got to tell my partner this. Or I pulled this out of my savings, so I ain't have to tell my partner. Like, no, be honest and clear and honest again about that, because that can cause problems down the road. So be very, very clear in communicating those things. I've heard people say to me, I don't want the person I'm with to know how much money I make. I've heard people say this. I don't want the person to know who I'm with, the person I'm with. You don't want the person that you're with, that you might potentially spend the rest of your life with, to know how much money you make. That might be problematic. You don't want the person that you're with to know how much debt you have. That might be problematic. You got to tell it. You got to be clear. You got to be honest. You got to put it out there, because the other person deserves to know that. Both parties need to know what's going on, and along the way what's going on. So hopefully this helps somebody to have that clarity, to get more clarity, and to keep the clarity going in the relationship. It's so important.
Okay. So tonight's topic was brought to you by the poll. This was chosen by the people on the poll. And
the people who who voted on it, they ain't even here.
Yeah, somebody. Damn.
Not the ones that voted on it.
Really? Uh-huh. They better catch this shit on the replay. YouTube, it's going Spotify, Apple Music. They got the podcast, but listen to it. Listen to it on the way to work. Mm-hmm. As you tell your partner how much you make. But on another note, February 18th. Mm-hmm. What's the event, baby?
80s, 90s, love song, soundtrack, trivia. We expect to see y'all there.
Nah, don't get it.
Y'all ain't buying these tickets. I'm just going to put it out there.
Please, that hurt my feelings.
Y'all are not buying the tickets. Get on there and get your ticket. February 18th. It's going down. It's going to be so much fun. Love songs from soundtracks from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, get your old
ass
out there.
When music was music.
And so, what I want to say about that is, you don't have to be a member to come to this. You don't have to be a member of DAR. So if you know somebody who wants to come, send me an Eventbrite, tell them, come on. You don't have to be a member. 2, the more interaction that we get from events like this builds to bigger and better things. Because how can the group do more and larger if we can't really support the smaller? You know, and this is what we need clarity on. Are we doing this for the hell of it? Or are we doing it for the bigger and better and getting the message across? Because that little bit of time that people come out and have fun, they can pass the message on and let everybody else come out and have fun. And guess what? When as things get bigger and better, I want everybody to be more involved and like, wow, this is how we do it. This is the vision. You know, we're over a year in now. And we did some exciting things, and not enough people saw it. Mm-hmm. And this is what we do. Hey, guess what? When you have something, you want Dar to show up and come out, we're gonna come out. I know these two will. That's me and you. But no, February 18th. Come in, show up, and just do this. I don't know. I'm about.
You right back.
Yeah, I'm about caffeine and silly right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 8:00. It's time to end it.
All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all showing up. For those that come back and watch the replay, make sure you go out and get your tickets ASAP. as always, until next time, we'll see y'all 2 Wednesdays from today. Have a great rest of the week. And we look forward to seeing y'all next time.